Welcome everyone to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, and today we're working on my Evo. This is a car you haven't seen in a little bit of some time, basically because I put it away for the winter. I don't want it to get salty and rust away because that's just what Evos do, unfortunately. So it's been away, but it's rained a lot outside recently and all of the salt has been washed away from the roads and I want to drive it. The problem is, it's been, ever since I bought it, it idles super rough when it's cold. And it really drives me nuts when I'm warming up the car. It basically stumbles around and almost dies. I'll show you actually a video of it now. So I was talking to my buddy Corbin Johnson about this issue because I was thinking maybe it's just a tuning issue and I need to get him in there to like touch up the tune or whatever. Now, if you guys are OGs to my channel, Corbin of Johnson Tuning has tuned a bunch of my cars. More recently, my GT350. He's an all-around really good dude and an amazing tuner. He also does remote tunes. He's local to the Cincinnati area. If you need tunes, you should hit him up. But anyway, I hit him up and I was like describing the issue of it having problems with a cold start and all that stuff. And he was asking what injectors I was running. I told him I was running FIC 1200 injectors, which happen to be high impedance, and apparently he thinks that is what is causing the issue. You see, these cars from the factory, it's going to be really hard to see. I'll show you guys later when we disassemble stuff. There is a resistor pack that sits on this firewall that basically intercepts the signal from the injectors that go to the ECU and gets the ECU to like basically accept the right signal. I don't exactly know how all this stuff works, but more or less because I changed to high impedance injectors instead of low impedance, it's kind of screwed everything up, or at least that's what he thinks. So what you're supposed to do to remedy this situation is get one of these. And all this is I think it just wires these together and bypasses the actual resistor pack itself. So basically, we're not going to be running in a resistor pack anymore, and that should hopefully solve all my issues with the rough idle. At least that's the hope, fingers crossed. So it's a relatively simple install, but if this works, this costs like 20 bucks. It is so like money so well spent because this car sucks when it's cold. So let's go ahead and install this and see if we actually fix my rough idle.
So here's basically what we have to do. It's probably really hard to see in the video, but way back there on the firewall, there is this little resistor pack for the injectors, and you could see kind of up there, it's plugged in, that goes somewhere to the ECU. Now, as this thing sits, it's basically impossible to reach given my current setup. For some of you guys, if you guys are dealing with the same thing, you might not have this catch can that I have. So this is like an aftermarket catch can that I'm gonna have to remove to get back there. Also, it looks like there's a relay right here that I'm gonna have to remove. You guys might just have to remove that relay. I'm gonna have to remove this, of course, too, and then hopefully we can get back to that resistor pack. So let's start with removing the catch can here, and then we'll remove the relay. Let's start with removing this catch can, which is held on by an Allen bolt. All right, get this guy out of the way. And now I'm gonna go ahead and remove these AN fittings. And how about that? Catch can is out. I'll go ahead and drain this thing because it's already out here.
Since I already have my catch can out, it's a good idea that I should just drain this because it doesn't have a place that it drains to the block or anything. And a lot of times these capture moisture and stuff too, so before it fills up to the point of overflowing, basically it's a good idea to drain it. How these work is basically you get a vacuum source that you intercept that goes in here, swirls around, and then it captures those oil and sometimes water vapor, so they're not going back into the engine. But I'm kind of curious how much fluid is going to come out of here. It doesn't feel very full at all. You can see it's actually just water. So it's really just condensation more than anything. It's a little bit of oil. This stuff, since it gets like real aerated, the oil gets very foamy. But there was hardly any oil in there, which is actually makes me really happy, because that means that there's not a lot of blow by in the engine. If this thing was full of oil, and this was almost an entire oil change worth of miles on the car, if this thing was full of oil, that means there's a lot of blow by in the engine, and it means that the rings on my engine are not in good shape. So this was a good sign.
Now that we have a lot more room, I'm going to go ahead and get this relay out of the way. Now that the relay is in the way, you can probably actually see the resistor pack now. See that silver, long silver thing? And it plugs into this harness right here. So now we need to remove this harness, which you kind of got to do some finger yoga to get down there. All right. So it unplugs down. Just press on that doohickey on the bottom and it unplugs. While we're in here and this is unplugged, I'm gonna assume that hopefully this is gonna work, and it makes sense just to remove this coil pack down there, which I believe is held by 10mm fasteners. So let's do that now. There we go. All right, so this is the resistor pack for the stock injectors, and apparently we don't need that now that we have high impedance aftermarket ones. So we'll chuck this in the bin and then install this bit. Now we can take the harness, plug this guy in here. So we basically are bypassing our resistor, and then push him against the firewall like so. And that's basically installed. Now we just have to reinstall all of our crap, and then let's go and start the car and see if it actually made anything better. Okay, well, here's the moment of truth to see if we actually did anything. It actually idles. Oh man, before it would just like absolutely stumble on its face forever until it was warmed up. Oh man, I can't believe it actually worked. Let's take this thing for a spin and see how it drives. Well, here it goes. Let's see how she does with cold. It's still not even registering on the thermostat. It's a cold day here. And clutch in. Okay, so like when I would typically come up to the stop sign, I would do clutch in, and the thing would just like fall on its face and like nearly die, and then I'd have to be like feathering the throttle. I can't believe that made a difference. I mean, I can believe it, like if stuff was meant to run a certain way or a certain signal or a certain impedance. Oh yeah, because before, like when it was cold, so once you get it going, it obviously doesn't like stumble around because it's not idling, but even when it was cold, it would like kind of hesitate. Like the fueling definitely wasn't right. Here we go, clutch in again. Idling perfectly. Now we're barely just coming up on the thermostat gauge. So it's registering cold now still. Who would have thought? Like, I don't know how you would know to look for that kind of stuff. But
for $20, I just saved so much money because I was thinking I was gonna have to buy new injectors because these injectors suck. I was ready to drop over $1,000 on ID injectors. You know, I was gonna have Corbin retune this thing because I thought that, you know, it was just tuned poorly for the idle. Awesome, man, awesome. 20 bucks, and we fixed it in like 15 minutes. Sweet. So I guess like the whole moral of this, guys, is just to go to show, like, don't be dumb like me and just throw parts and money at cars. You definitely want to do your research first. And if you have the ability to speak with someone who is qualified, like my friend Corbin, he might be able to help you out, you know, without even spending a whole lot of money. Now, sometimes you have to spend money to get things fixed, but sometimes there's easy fixes. So do the smart thing, not the hard thing, and use your brain, unlike me. I'm gonna go enjoy a drive here. Good car. I'll see you guys on the next episode. If you want to follow me in between episodes, Eat Sleep Drive TV on Instagram. Otherwise, peace.